Welcome to Conspiracy Files. I'm your host, Zoe Parker, and in today's episode, we step deep into the forests, where shadows move between the trees and whispers of something unknown echo through the wilderness. A creature that has eluded capture, but not attention. A towering figure, covered in hair, watching from a distance. For decades, countless eyewitnesses have claimed to see it. Photographs, footprints, and even video footage have emerged. But is Bigfoot real? Or is it simply a case of misidentification, hoaxes, and folklore blending into modern myth? Stay with me as we unravel one of the most enduring mysteries of our time. Stay tuned. The natural world is full of surprises. Every year, scientists identify and classify hundreds of new species, some hidden in the depths of the ocean, others in dense rainforests, and even a few in places once thought to be fully explored. Creatures that were once considered myths, like the giant squid, have turned out to be real, lurking just beyond the limits of human reach until technology and persistence brought them into the light. Some of these discoveries defy expectations. Ancient coelacanths, thought to have gone extinct 66 million years ago, were found alive off the coast of Africa. New primates, like the Myanmar snub-nosed monkey, have emerged in recent years, despite their size and presence in regions where people have lived for centuries. If animals like these could evade detection for so long, could Bigfoot be another example of a species that has simply mastered the art of staying hidden? The more we study, the more we realize how little we truly know. Species adapt, evolve, and sometimes exist right under our noses without recognition. The existence of cryptic species, animals that look nearly identical to known species but are genetically distinct, suggests that even when we believe we understand our environment, nature holds deeper mysteries. Some argue that this supports the case for Bigfoot. If a massive primate has managed to remain undiscovered, it wouldn't be the first time humanity has underestimated the biodiversity of the planet. Then there's the reality that even known species can behave in ways that challenge our assumptions. Animals exhibit tool use, complex communication, and even cultural behaviors once thought to be uniquely human. The intelligence of certain primates, the stealth of large predators, and the ability of animals to camouflage and avoid detection all serve as reminders that what we think we know is always subject to change. Perhaps Bigfoot is not as impossible as it seems. If the search for new species teaches us anything, it's that our understanding of the natural world is far from complete. What seems improbable today could be a documented reality tomorrow. Stories of wild humanoid creatures lurking in the depths of the forest are not unique to modern times. Long before Bigfoot became a household name, indigenous tribes across North America spoke of massive, hairy beings that lived on the fringes of civilization. The Salish people of the Pacific Northwest told tales of the Saskets, a giant, elusive forest dweller whose name would later be anglicized into Sasquatch. In the folklore of the Lakota, Iroquois, and Algonquin, similar creatures appeared, sometimes as protectors of nature, other times as ominous figures meant to warn against wandering too far from home. The 19th and early 20th centuries saw scattered reports of wild men, or gorilla-like beasts, spotted by trappers and frontiersmen. These encounters were often dismissed as tall tales, exaggerations born from the isolation of the wilderness. But then in 1958, something changed. A set of massive footprints was discovered near Bluff Creek, California, capturing national attention. The media coined the term Bigfoot, and just like that, an age-old legend was thrust into modern pop culture. Over the decades, the fascination only grew. As the years passed, reports continued to flood in. Hikers, hunters, and researchers claim encounters with something that defied explanation. Hair samples, mysterious sounds, and, of course, an endless trail of oversized footprints kept the legend alive. Some believed these creatures were the last remnants of an ancient primate species, hiding in the vast, uncharted wilderness. Others saw them as nothing more than folklore, misidentifications, or elaborate pranks. The search for Bigfoot has become more than just a curiosity. It has evolved into a cultural phenomenon, spawning dedicated researchers, cryptid hunting TV shows, and an entire industry built around the mystery. But with all the fascination, the key question remains: Is there truly an undiscovered species walking among us, or is this simply one of the greatest myths of modern times? For decades, believers have pointed to a growing body of evidence that suggests Bigfoot is more than just myth or misidentification. The most compelling argument? Eyewitness testimony. Thousands of people from all walks of life, hunters, hikers, park rangers, and even law enforcement officers, have come forward with eerily similar accounts. They describe a creature between 7 and 10 feet tall, covered in dark fur, with human-like intelligence and an uncanny ability to evade detection. Some claim to have locked eyes with it, feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as if they were staring at something not meant to be seen. Then there are the footprints. The 1958 discovery at Bluff Creek wasn't an isolated incident. Enormous tracks, some stretching up to 24 inches in length, have been found in remote locations across North America. What's more, forensic experts who have examined castings of these prints argue that they show dermal ridges and pressure points consistent with a living, flesh and blood animal, not something artificially created. If these prints are hoaxes, they are remarkably sophisticated ones, designed with an almost inhuman level of detail. But perhaps the most famous piece of evidence is the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film. Shot in Northern California, the grainy footage captures a massive, upright figure striding through a clearing. The figure's musculature appears to shift beneath its fur, and its gait is strikingly non-human. To this day, no one has definitively proven it to be a hoax. Costume experts argue that no suit from that era could replicate the anatomical nuances seen in the film. If it was staged, it was decades ahead of its time. Beyond physical evidence, there are also unexplained audio recordings. Deep in the forests of Washington and Canada, researchers have captured chilling howls, guttural screams, and what some claim to be primate-like chatter. Some recordings, like the famous Sierra sounds, reveal vocalizations outside the range of human capability. Could these be the calls of an undiscovered species, communicating in the darkness? DNA evidence remains elusive, but hair samples attributed to Bigfoot have surfaced, baffling scientists. Some samples, when analyzed, have returned unknown primate markers, seemingly not belonging to any documented species. Others have been dismissed as belonging to bears or known animals, but the anomalies continue to surface, leaving some researchers convinced that we are on the brink of a major discovery. Despite the skeptics, the case for Bigfoot isn't built on a single shaky claim. It's a mosaic of eyewitness encounters, physical traces, and anomalies that defy easy explanation. The deeper one looks into the mystery of Bigfoot, the more questions arise. If such a creature exists, why hasn't a body ever been found? Skeptics argue that for a population of large primates to sustain itself, there would need to be significant biological evidence, bones, remains, or even a preserved corpse. Yet despite decades of searching, no verifiable specimen has ever surfaced. This absence of physical proof is one of the most glaring inconsistencies in the theory. Then, there's the issue of habitat. While the Pacific Northwest offers vast, remote wilderness, is it truly possible for a creature of Bigfoot's supposed size to remain completely hidden? Some argue that if mountain lions and bears can evade detection for long periods, perhaps an intelligent, nocturnal primate could do the same. Others counter that modern surveillance technology, drones, and camera traps should have already captured conclusive evidence. There's also the puzzling variation in descriptions. Some witnesses claim to have seen a massive, muscular creature with dark fur, while others describe a more ape-like being, smaller and more agile. Certain reports speak of glowing red eyes, a feature more common in folklore than zoology. The inconsistencies in reported height, behavior, and even tracks leave some wondering whether multiple species could be at play, or if misidentifications and hoaxes are muddying the waters. And what about the unsettling reports of strange vocalizations? Some recordings feature guttural howls and eerie chatter, unlike any known animal. Are these the calls of an undiscovered primate, or could there be a more mundane explanation? Wolves? Distorted echoes? Or even elaborate fabrications? Without conclusive analysis, the sounds remain another tantalizing piece of an unsolved puzzle. Perhaps the most confounding question of all is why no one, no hunter, scientist, or accidental hiker, has ever produced undeniable proof. Some believe that Bigfoot is more intelligent than we assume, actively avoiding human contact and even burying its dead. Others suggest that if such a creature exists, it might not be a purely biological entity at all, but something far stranger, an interdimensional being, a spiritual manifestation, or something beyond conventional science. Despite decades of searching, the mystery remains. The pieces of evidence, though intriguing, never seem to form a complete picture, leaving room for endless speculation. Not everyone is convinced that Bigfoot is an undiscovered species lurking in the wilderness. Many experts argue that the phenomenon can be explained by more conventional means: misidentifications, hoaxes, and the power of human perception. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that many Bigfoot sightings are simply cases of mistaken identity. Large bears, particularly when standing on their hind legs, can appear remarkably humanoid from a distance. In low light or dense forest, a brief encounter with a bear could easily be misinterpreted as something more mysterious. Some skeptics also point to cases where reported Sasquatch tracks were later identified as belonging to other animals, often distorted by melting snow or shifting terrain. Then there's the long history of hoaxes. Decades of investigation have revealed countless cases of fabricated footprints, manipulated photographs, and even individuals donning gorilla suits to stage encounters. The infamous Patterson-Gimlin film, often cited as the strongest visual evidence, has faced intense scrutiny, with some experts claiming the figure's gait and proportions suggest a person in a costume rather than a living creature. If so many sightings have been hoaxes, could the entire legend be built on deception? Psychologists offer another perspective, suggesting that the belief in Bigfoot may stem from deep-seated cognitive biases. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns and faces, even where none exist, a trait that may contribute to people seeing humanoid figures in the wilderness. There's also the role of expectation. Someone venturing into Bigfoot country with the belief that the creature is real may be more likely to interpret ambiguous sights or sounds as evidence of its presence. Another theory suggests that Bigfoot reports are the modern evolution of ancient folklore. Cultures across the world have stories of wild, elusive humanoid beings, from the Yeti of the Himalayas to the Yowie of Australia. Some anthropologists argue that Bigfoot is simply another version of these long-standing myths, kept alive through pop culture and modern storytelling. In this view, sightings are not of a real creature, but of a legend that has taken on a life of its own. Some researchers believe there may be a scientific explanation rooted in evolutionary history. Could Bigfoot be a relic population of an extinct hominid, such as Gigantopithecus, surviving in isolated pockets? While this idea is intriguing, most experts dismiss it due to the lack of fossil evidence in North America and the improbability of such a species remaining undetected in the modern era. Despite the skepticism, believers argue that none of these explanations fully account for the sheer volume of sightings and encounters reported over the years. With no definitive proof on either side, the debate continues, leaving the question open-ended. Beyond the conventional theories, there are those who have ventured into far more speculative terrain, offering ideas that push the boundaries of our understanding. One such theory suggests that Bigfoot is not just an undiscovered species, but a creature tied to otherworldly phenomena. Some believe that Bigfoot sightings are actually encounters with beings from another dimension or parallel universe. According to this theory, the creature's elusive nature and sudden appearances could be explained by its ability to phase in and out of our reality. These theorists argue that the dense forests where Bigfoot is often seen could act as portals, places where the veil between dimensions is thinner, allowing the creature to slip through. Others take this a step further, suggesting that Bigfoot is not just a physical being, but something much more supernatural. These proponents link Bigfoot to ancient legends and myths of shape-shifting beings and forest spirits. Some claim that the creature might be an ancient guardian of the wilderness, tasked with protecting the earth from human encroachment. In this view, Bigfoot is seen not as a mere animal, but as a mystical entity, a force of nature that has existed since ancient times, woven into the folklore of countless cultures around the world. Then there are the more extreme theories that involve government cover-ups. According to some, Bigfoot sightings and encounters have been deliberately suppressed by authorities who have long been aware of the creature's existence. The theory suggests that government agencies, perhaps even military organizations, have actively concealed the truth about Bigfoot to avoid mass panic or to protect secret research related to the creature. In this scenario, Bigfoot is not just a mystery, it is part of a larger, more complex web of hidden knowledge and covert operations. Another fringe theory posits that Bigfoot could be a product of secretive genetic experiments. Some believe that Bigfoot might be the result of DNA manipulation, either from human ancestors or other primates, conducted by shadowy organizations. This theory ties into broader fears about unchecked scientific advancements and the ethical questions surrounding genetic engineering. According to this perspective, Bigfoot's existence is not natural at all, but the unintended consequence of a series of clandestine experiments aimed at creating or controlling new life forms. Of course, many dismiss these ideas as far-fetched, a mix of fantasy and paranoia. But for those who subscribe to these theories, they represent a deeper mystery, one that transcends the search for a simple creature hidden in the woods. These ideas tap into our collective fear of the unknown and our desire to believe in something greater, something beyond our current understanding. They offer a new lens through which to view the Bigfoot enigma, one that challenges our perceptions of reality and suggests that perhaps we are only scratching the surface of a far more intricate and extraordinary truth. Such theories may be speculative and fringe, but they add layers of complexity to the Bigfoot legend, sparking imaginations and keeping the mystery alive. The story of Bigfoot doesn't exist in isolation. It is intertwined with a range of other conspiracies and theories that have captivated the public's imagination for decades. One of the most common links made is to the secretive activities of the government, particularly in relation to cover-ups. The very idea that Bigfoot is being deliberately concealed by authorities ties into a broader pattern of secrecy around phenomena that challenge the status quo. The idea of government suppression of information is not new. Throughout history, numerous events have sparked conspiracy theories involving government cover-ups. Take, for instance, the Roswell incident in 1947, where a mysterious object crashed in New Mexico, and the U.S. military initially claimed it was a flying disc, only to later retract the statement and call it a weather balloon. This reversal ignited widespread speculation about the government's knowledge of extraterrestrial life. Similarly, some Bigfoot believers suggest that the government's denial of the creature's existence parallels its treatment of UFOs, something strange and unexplained, kept in the shadows for fear of mass hysteria. Moreover, the idea of secret government experiments or hidden technologies has long been a staple of conspiracy theories. Some claim that Bigfoot is part of a covert biological or military experiment, similar to other theories that suggest the government has been conducting unauthorized genetic research. These connections lead to speculation that Bigfoot, far from being a relic of an ancient species, is actually the product of a secretive project, potentially designed for military purposes or as a means of testing human and animal interaction. Whether Bigfoot's abilities are enhanced by technology, such as cloaking devices, or if it is the result of genetic manipulation, these links blur the lines between natural history and government experimentation. Another common conspiracy that ties into the Bigfoot phenomenon is the idea of a hidden agenda around environmental preservation. There are those who believe that the government has long been aware of Bigfoot's existence, not only because of its importance to indigenous folklore, but also due to its role in protecting the wilderness. In this narrative, Bigfoot is less a creature to be captured and studied, and more a living symbol of the need for conservation. Some theorists argue that the government has deliberately obscured the truth about Bigfoot to keep certain areas of land off limits for human development, helping to preserve forests and ecosystems. Bigfoot's connections to other historical events also bring to light broader societal fears. The creature's often remote habitats in rugged wilderness areas point to the deep fear and awe that humans feel when faced with the unknown and unexplored parts of the Earth. In many ways, Bigfoot embodies the human struggle between civilization and the wild, between knowledge and ignorance. This connection to untamed nature often mirrors the way that conspiracy theorists view the world, a constant battle between the forces of control and the mysteries lurking beyond. In addition, the global nature of the Bigfoot myth and its counterparts, like the Yeti in the Himalayas or the Yowie in Australia, suggests a universal desire to believe in hidden creatures and lost histories. The shared belief in such cryptids across different cultures and time periods hints at something more than just regional folklore. It evokes the idea that there may be a long-standing universal mystery that ties humanity together, one that spans across borders and generations. Whether it's governments protecting a secret or the natural world holding on to an ancient truth, Bigfoot continues to thrive as a thread that connects larger conspiratorial narratives to a much more mysterious global picture. There are few mysteries as persistent as Bigfoot. Decades have passed, thousands of sightings have been reported, and yet no definitive proof has emerged to either confirm or disprove the existence of this elusive creature. This absence of resolution is precisely what keeps the legend alive. The questions that remain unanswered continue to fuel speculation, drawing in both die-hard believers and open-minded skeptics alike. Perhaps the most glaring question is the lack of a body. If Bigfoot exists, why has no one recovered definitive remains? No bones, no carcasses, nothing that would provide irrefutable evidence. Some argue that, like many other large animals in the wild, Bigfoot may bury its dead, or that nature quickly reclaims organic material, making it unlikely that remains would be found. Others suggest that the sheer vastness of North America's remote wilderness could allow a small, intelligent species to evade detection indefinitely. But skeptics find this hard to accept, pointing out that even the most elusive creatures eventually leave behind physical proof of their existence. Then there's the question of technology. In an age of high-resolution smartphone cameras, drones, and trail cameras, why are clear images of Bigfoot still so rare? The vast majority of alleged photographs and videos remain blurry, indistinct, and open to interpretation. Some suggest that the creature possesses an almost supernatural ability to evade detection, an idea that ties into more fringe theories about interdimensional travel or cloaking abilities. Others believe the lack of quality evidence points to a simpler explanation: misidentification, hoaxes, or wishful thinking. Another lingering mystery is the behavior attributed to Bigfoot. Witnesses describe a range of encounters, from peaceful, fleeting glimpses to aggressive and territorial behavior, including rock throwing and loud guttural vocalizations. If Bigfoot is a real biological species, what exactly is its social structure? Does it operate in small, hidden groups, or is it a more solitary creature? And why do the descriptions vary so widely across different reports? Some argue that regional differences might account for these discrepancies, just as different primate species exhibit varying behaviors, but others see the inconsistencies as a sign that the phenomenon is shaped more by folklore and personal perception than by reality. There is also the matter of government involvement. If Bigfoot truly exists, has the government covered it up? Some argue that national parks and land management agencies have a vested interest in keeping the public unaware, perhaps to prevent panic or to protect certain areas from overdevelopment. Others dismiss this notion, suggesting that if real evidence ever emerged, it would be nearly impossible to suppress in the digital age. Ultimately, the greatest mystery of all may be why people continue to believe. Despite the lack of definitive proof, fascination with Bigfoot persists, passed down through generations, finding new life in modern media, online communities, and amateur research groups. Whether it's a deep-rooted need to believe in the unknown, a cultural tradition that refuses to fade, or the possibility that something truly unexplained lurks in the forests, the questions surrounding Bigfoot show no signs of disappearing. If Bigfoot is an undiscovered primate, how does it sustain itself? What does it eat? How does it breed and maintain a stable population? Large mammals require sufficient numbers to avoid extinction, and yet sightings are sporadic and scattered, with no clear migratory or territorial patterns. Without bones, nests, or other biological markers, researchers are left with theories but little definitive proof of an organized social structure. And what about technology? In a world where surveillance is everywhere, why hasn't a clear, indisputable image or video surfaced? Blurry photos, shaky footage, and ambiguous audio recordings are plentiful, but with high-resolution cameras in nearly every pocket, why hasn't someone captured a definitive moment? Some suggest the answer lies not in the creature, but in human perception, our tendency to interpret the unknown through the lens of belief. Others wonder if Bigfoot is something more elusive, more intelligent, even something beyond our understanding of biology and reality. Perhaps the biggest question of all is whether we'll ever get an answer. With every passing year, technology improves, searches continue, and yet the legend persists, no closer to resolution. If proof finally emerges, will it validate centuries of belief, or will it unravel a mystery that some would prefer remain unsolved? For decades, the idea of UFOs was dismissed as little more than fantasy. Mainstream scientists, government officials, and skeptics waved off claims of unidentified aerial phenomena as misidentified aircraft, atmospheric illusions, or outright hoaxes. Those who believed were often ridiculed, their stories relegated to the fringes of society. Yet today, the conversation has shifted. Government agencies have publicly acknowledged encounters with objects that defy explanation. Pilots, intelligence officials, and even members of Congress now discuss UFOs not as fiction, but as a legitimate mystery warranting serious investigation. This transformation raises an uncomfortable question. If something once mocked and disregarded is now being examined with newfound credibility, what else might be prematurely dismissed? Could the same shift in perspective one day apply to Bigfoot? Many argue that the scientific establishment has a tendency to resist ideas that challenge conventional wisdom. This skepticism, while essential to maintaining rigorous standards of evidence, has at times led to the outright rejection of certain topics, only for those same topics to later gain legitimacy when new evidence emerges. Skeptics insist that the difference is in the nature of the evidence. UFO sightings have been recorded on radar, captured in military footage, and corroborated by trained observers. Bigfoot, they argue, lacks that level of verifiable proof. But believers counter that the lack of official recognition doesn't mean the phenomenon isn't real, only that it hasn't yet been acknowledged. Just as pilots hesitated to report UFOs for fear of ridicule, might researchers, park rangers, or even government agencies possess knowledge about Bigfoot that they are unwilling or unable to disclose? History has shown that the boundary between skepticism and acceptance is constantly shifting. What was once laughed off can, with time, become a serious topic of study. If we are willing to reconsider the impossible when it comes to UFOs, what else might we need to re-examine? Whether Bigfoot is an undiscovered species, a product of human imagination, or something stranger entirely, the legend endures. For some, the lack of definitive evidence is reason enough to dismiss the creature as a myth, another tall tale woven into the fabric of folklore. For others, the sheer volume of sightings, unexplained tracks, and strange vocalizations suggest that something is out there, something just beyond the reach of modern science. The search for Bigfoot is, in many ways, a reflection of our search for the unknown. It speaks to something primal, a desire to believe that the world still holds secrets, that not everything has been mapped, documented, and explained. The wilderness, vast and untamed, offers a perfect backdrop for mystery, a place where the lines between reality and legend blur. The idea that a creature could elude human discovery in an age of satellites and global surveillance challenges our perception of what is possible. Skeptics argue that human psychology plays a major role in this phenomenon. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns, to assign meaning to the unknown. A rustling in the woods becomes more than just the wind. A shadow among the trees takes on a familiar shape. It's the same mechanism that fuels ghost stories and UFO encounters, our minds filling in the blanks with the extraordinary. Hoaxes have played their part as well, muddying the waters, making it difficult to separate truth from fabrication. And yet, the sheer consistency of reports across cultures and time periods makes it hard for some to dismiss Bigfoot outright. Then there's the question of what it would mean if Bigfoot were real. The discovery of an intelligent, undiscovered primate living in North America would challenge everything we know about biology, conservation, and even history. How would society react? Would the world's forests become overrun with hunters, researchers, and media in search of proof? Or would the creature become another protected species, its habitat shielded from human interference? Until undeniable proof emerges, Bigfoot will remain a mystery, one that exists at the intersection of science, folklore, and the human imagination. Perhaps the answer has been out there all along, waiting to be uncovered. Or maybe, just maybe, some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. Thanks for tuning in to the Conspiracy Files podcast. We're here with brand new episodes every Wednesday. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to follow us and be sure to rate, review, and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. You can also reach out anytime by emailing us at contact@theconspiracyfilespodcast.com. Until next time, and remember, the truth is out there. If you enjoyed this episode and want to dive deeper into the world of conspiracy theories, consider subscribing for exclusive access to the material they don't want you to hear. As a subscriber, you'll get banned episodes, episodes deemed too controversial for mainstream platforms, members-only bonus episodes, not available anywhere else, extended director's cut versions of your favorite episodes, early access to new content before it's released to the public, and much more. Thank you for your support. The link is in the description below. Join now.